Welcome to the fourth in a series of political candidate forums in advance of the August 23rd primary election. This forum is a cooperative production of the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee, the Tallahassee Democrat, and WFSU Public Media. Our candidates today are running for the Leon County Board of County Commissioners at-large Group 2 seat. I'm Suzanne Smith from WFSU Public Media, and I'm joined by William Hatfield with the Tallahassee Democrat and Daniel Irwin with the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee. We'll be questioning candidates on various topics today. First, let's get a quick look at the ground rules and meet the candidates.
All right, welcome everybody. The candidates for County Commission at Large Group 2 are, left to right, Commissioner Nick Maddox, the incumbent, who is joining us via Zoom today. Commissioner, can you tell us why you are appearing virtually today?
Thank you, sir. So I am actually attending the Florida Association of Counties annual conference, learning all of the good information from other counties about how they're solving their problems.
Thank you. All right. And from there, we're going to, we have Rudy Ferguson, we have Josh Johnson, and we have Dominique Nikki Zumbo. For those watching us on social media, please hit the share button and help all your friends see today's discussion as well. Here is how the forums will work. We will rotate which candidate gets to answer first. We have a lot of questions, so we are going to ask the candidates to keep your answers to about 60 seconds, sometimes shorter for follow-ups. We have a couple that go a little bit longer. We'll tell you with the questions of how long you have. We will keep time, and we have a very high-tech way of doing that. We will ding a bell when your time is up, and this is what it's going to sound like. At that point, you don't have to come to a dead stop right then, but do finish your sentence, and we will move on. In the middle of the forum, we also have a lightning round. In that, we ask you to keep your answers to just one sentence. At the end of the forum, we'll give you 90 seconds to make the case directly to voters and share your website or any other important information.
And if you're watching on Facebook and if you have a question for the candidates, go ahead and type them in the comments and we'll get to as many of them as we can. Time is very limited, so you can improve your chances of a question being asked if you keep it brief, polite, and applicable to all candidates. Candidates, do you have any questions before we begin? No? Excellent. So then let's jump in with the first question.
All right, the first question will be 1 minute long, and it is, what is the #1 issue affecting Leon County and why? Nick Maddox, you will begin.
Thank you. I think poverty right now is the #1 issue affecting Leon County. We looked at right now, we got our minimum wage up to $15 an hour. We're looking for other people to do that across the state and across the county, and the state has mandated such by 2025, I believe. But even if you're looking at $15 an hour, when you look at what we're looking at with the rental prices and affordable housing, it just doesn't lend itself. So trying to create jobs that are $15 and above, that create a situation where people are able to make a livable wage and be able to spend less than 30% of their income on housing is something that we're working towards. Inflation. So we talk about poverty, we talk about inflation as a result of all the money that the feds gave out for COVID relief. We had to know eventually that was going to come around back to us. And so right now we're seeing inflation and also interest rates. And so overall, just poverty, which leads to every other issue. We talk about crime, affordable housing, and things like that. So we got to continue to be creative about how we deal with poverty.
Thank you.
Rudy Ferguson.
Thank you so much for the question. I believe that public safety is our first and foremost concern. That affects all of our businesses. It affects our communities. It affects tuition at our institution of higher learning. When we have a public safety issue such as gun violence, which has rapidly increased in our county in the last few years, that's a sign to tell us that everything that's affected directly by gun violence will also be indirectly affected by it in regards to our economy. Not just our economy, that plays a major role, is even with our poverty levels. So when we have an issue where gun violence is run rampant, it makes the people across the country who are coming, or should I say across the country, who are coming to Tallahassee, a little bit hesitant because they're unsure of safety. So my first and foremost concern as commissioner is to address the public safety so that we can become a safe and healthy and a vibrant county. That's I'm Rudy Ferguson, and I approve that message.
Josh Johnson.
So for me, it's a very simple answer. And the answer to that question is making public investments an equitable endeavor. And why that's my answer is because that is the river which all the other tributary issues flow, right? Affordable housing can be quelched with public investments. Crime can be quelled with public investments. Small business and undergirding our small business with a viable workforce can be mitigated with the way that we use our public investments. And so when we look at public investments, whether it's resources, financial, or other, the way that we distribute these things is so important because it is the cornerstone and then the backbone, the cornerstone of how we can solve these things and the backbone of the solutions. Thank you.
Nikki Zumbo.
It absolutely is housing, and I want to give credit to those other issues being valid answers as well. They kind of all tie into what we're facing here in Leon County. In my experience in housing, we have a lot of cost-burdened renters that are unable to afford their homes as is, and their apartment leases are only going up. So the inflation within housing has become a dire concern. There are a lot of constituents that don't want to stay here in Tallahassee, and they don't want to bring anybody else here as well due to those skyrocketing costs and not enough high wage jobs that afford those housing costs.
All right, we have a follow-up for that question. This race is for an at-large seat representing the entire county rather than just a single district. How will that affect the way you govern? We're going to start with Rudy Ferguson, and you'll have 30 seconds for this follow-up.
Thank you so much for the question. Representing the entire county is a privilege. It's an honor because we have a beautiful city here. We have a beautiful county. We have a lot of different backgrounds and makeups. And so when you really begin to look at exactly what our county is made of, my ultimate goal as a commissioner is to ensure that every aspect of our county, essential services, facilities, parks, everyone is accommodated where they live so they can go forward. So I approve this message as Rudy Ferguson.
Josh Johnson.
That is a very good question. Running for an at-large seat, there's an intrinsic understanding that there's different demographics, different people, different races, different orientations that will be affected by the way that we govern. And as an educator, right, every day in my classroom, I see different types of people. And I make sure that all of those people have the same voice. I make sure that all of those people have the same access to me. I make sure that all of those people are taken care of objectively because it should be the aim of anybody in a position of power to do that.
I really think that the constituents that live further out from the central areas should be encouraged to bring their businesses into these more populated areas to facilitate more income and revenue for their businesses. So reaching out to those folks, understanding how they operate and how they enjoy their, their distance living from a city or a town, and how we can make that, utilize that for the rest of the county as well.
Nick Maddox.
View. I'm not and have never been a district commissioner. So I can't just focus on one district. I have to think about how the votes and the policies that we place forward affects all districts. And I think that makes for a pretty interesting situation sometimes, because sometimes you're going to make a decision that's not so popular in one district and may be popular in another, and it may be not popular in another. So just keeping that holistic view and understanding that the main goal here is try to rise all boats, try to make our county better as a whole. And so every decision needs to be moving in that direction and trying to accomplish that goal.
All right. Now we have a question that is inspired by one provided by the Urban League. By our count on Tallahassee.com, 12 people have been killed and 46 have been injured in 71 serious shootings this year in the capital city and county. Just recently, 2 people were injured in 2 drive-by shootings an hour apart. And on Friday, 2 men were seriously injured during a party in a large crowd at a townhome. There was even a recent gunfight at a McDonald's. What specific initiatives will you take to make our communities safe from crime? And we will start with Josh Josh.
As an educator at Godby High School, the young men that I teach every day, right, are the people that are so affected by this. One of the things that I have seen that is highly needed is partnerships between the community, law enforcement, and the demographics affected the most, these students. If we have access to funds and resources and already existing nonprofits and organizations that are doing this work, we have to engage these entities to save these lives. This is personal to me. This is professional to me. And what I have been doing as an educator is just this. And so I want to extend my professional role, right, into protecting the very boys. And when I say boys, it's just because disproportionately it is young men, disproportionately young African-American men, the same young African-American men that I see every day. I take this seriously. It has been my duty then, and it will be my duty now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nikki, you're up next.
I think we also have to mention what happens before the crime. A lot of people live in an era where they can't afford food or they can't afford housing or things that are necessary to survive, therefore may commit crimes that ultimately end them in a situation where that could have been prevented ahead of time. Education is so important in this area because we need more affordable aftercares. We need places for kids to go and grow and become parts of society that help us flourish. So Josh is definitely seeing a lot of these kids go through the system where they may not be included in certain things that, they may have different ways of exemplifying that behavior. However, giving kids a place to go, giving people someone to talk to when they're going through a crisis before, these things happen, it's prevention.
Thank you. Nick Maddox.
Thank you. I think we had to dig deep. Some of the programs that we have in town, they get to a lot of our children, but do they get to the ones who need those programs the most? I think we have to think about those kids who aren't going to the nonprofits and things of that nature that have programs for our children. We got to get to those young people. And I think when it comes down to it, what we really have to do is change their perception of what success looks like. We have to give them a new vision. We have to give them a new way of looking at things. I think we need to bring them closer to our law enforcement, not in a way of feeling attacked or agonized, but in a way of feeling like partnerships. And so a lot of that's going to take the community coming together and coming together to bring those young people to law enforcement. It's going to take the community coming together to let those young folks know, hey, there's another way out there besides this violence that you're looking at. Because a lot of it, again, circulates around poverty. It circulates around wanting respect. It circulates around wanting to live a certain way. It circulates around the change and virtue that you've seen over the years of what young people think is popular and good. So we have to change their minds. We have to create situations. We have to get them into Leon Works and other programs to tell them that, hey, you can make $100,000 as a welder. You can make $100,000 as a plumber. You don't have to be on the street. You don't have to live this kind of life where you risk your life every single day. So we have to go in and draw those kids out that aren't participating in our programs, bring them to those programs and show them a different way of living and a different way of thinking.
Thank you. Rudy Ferguson.
Thank you so much for the question. As the current chairman of the Tallahassee Police Department's Citizen Advisory Council, the thing that we have garnered is the fact to how do we bridge the gap between our most vulnerable communities and law enforcement? And how do we make those that live in the community just a little more aware of investing in their communities as a village? A thing that we've decided to do is that we had to listen to the younger generation. In my 50 years of living and working for the Tallahassee Urban League in my younger years and all of the things that I have done, it goes back to the fundamental basics of we need to all work together. As a commissioner, I will continue to push these initiatives that I believe will help our young people be a part of the county, be a part of the city, be a part of this community, because oftentimes they're overlooked. You look at Leon County, look at Tallahassee, and the social appeal that we have is not like Orlando or Miami, other place that it would go to have a good time. We really need to spend more time listening to them, investing more funds into our most vulnerable communities so that they can have the resources necessary that they may be able to find that hope and find that place in life that they can go to school and get that trade and become a positive, productive young citizen. I believe that as a commissioner, that is my first and foremost concern, to make sure that our citizens, our young people, feel that they have a voice and a place here in Tallahassee.
Thank you. And we've got a 30-second follow-up on this question. And Nikki Zumbo, you're going to start us off here. And that is, how would you rate the current effectiveness of LCSO and TPD in addressing the issue of gun violence? 30 seconds.
I don't even pretend to imagine what it must be like to step out of your house every day knowing you might not return to your family, especially in the recent events here in Tallahassee. I've met quite a few of those officers, and I have so much respect for what they do here in the community and how responsive they've been. I always encourage them to do better because that's how you grow and that's how you partner with other organizations. So I would give them a good B. A good B.
Thank you. Nick Maddox.
Thank you. I don't think I would give them a letter grade. What I'll say is that they're doing the best they absolutely can to try to address the things that they're dealing with when it comes to gun violence. I talked to the sheriff, I talked to the police, and I know that they're putting all the effort they can into it. And so I just think they need more partnership from us. And so, I mean, if you look at the police department, they're understaffed. The sheriff's doing the best he can to get more staff. We put $9 million into him. So I think they're doing the best they can, and we got to continue to partner with them and push them forward.
Thank you. Rudy Ferguson.
Well, again, as the chairman of the Tallahassee Police Department Citizen Advisory Council, and I've worked closely with Chief Rebels and all of the officers and commanders there, and also work along. I'm also a member of the Leon County Sheriff's Advisory Council. So I see that their job, their role is very, very hectic. I see that it's a stressful job, and I commend them for efforts putting on their uniform and badge and going out to protect and serve our communities. So all in all, as I serve on both of them, I believe they're doing a very good job based on the way they are, based on law enforcement, but it's up to us to help them along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh Johnson.
Very simply put, there has to be more done. Now, it's very hard to divorce the responsibility of law enforcement and the community because there's so much cross-pollination there. But this question was structured at just law enforcement. And while this is no indictment of law enforcement, I come from a law enforcement family. I do believe that we have to do more in terms of law enforcement. And so while I don't think that they're doing a great job, I also don't think that they're trying to do a bad job.
Thank you.
So let's move on to affordable housing. Nick Maddox, this question is first to you. What is the first specific action you would propose to address the need for affordable housing beyond what is already being done? You have 1 minute.
So the first thing we need to do is understand that right now our biggest problem when it comes to affordable housing is the rental market. I think we got about 52% of the rental market right now is severely burdened. When I say that, or moderately to severely burdened, when I say that, they're spending 31% or more of their income on housing. And so what we've done in Leon County is we've actually tried to use some SHIP funds to incentivize redevelopment and building of rental units within development to try to create more affordable rentals out there. When it comes to affordable housing in general, when it comes to owner's market, it's about 20% that are burdened. So the rental market is right now what's really, really, really killing us when it comes to people being able to afford. And so continuing to work on solutions like the rental building and assistance program that we have that incentivizes affordable rental properties is one piece of it. And then I think also continuing to look at how we control how the rent increases.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Would be another issue.
Thank you, Nick Maddox. We're going to move on to Rudy Ferguson. What first specific action would you take to address the need for affordable housing beyond what is already being done?
I think it's very important to encourage the people now because hope has somehow dropped where they feel that that the program is too hard or there's not enough information or communication is being delivered to those who are living in low-income areas who don't have that necessary reach for that information. I definitely want to, as a business community, work along with our developers who are coming to Tallahassee, who hope to build here, to work along with them so that they can have enough supplies and the things that they need in order to bring more affordable housing. For every 100 homes that are built, only 29 in the country, so I would say 29 are affordable homes. That's not a lot. We need to. If we can get more affordable homes where people can feel better about themselves, encourage themselves, it uplifts the community, the properties adjacent to it, that increases, it gives people a sense of pride. It reduces crime, and it also reduces overcrowding. If we can get a handle on that and work along with all of our community partners in the SHIP funds, encouraging and bringing incentives to the table, I believe we can get that job done. As commissioner, I would definitely look into taking a non-traditional approach to some things. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy Ferguson. Josh Johnson, your turn for this. Affordable housing, what one specific action would you propose beyond what's already being done?
We have to be very careful with how we expand the urban service area. As we expand the urban service area, not only is there so many deleterious things that go into it, what we're doing is funneling resources, right, to places that need it the least. And that's not an indictment on those areas, because they're beautiful and they do need the resources. But when we stretch the boundary of the urban service area, we are also stretching the need of the most vulnerable, exacerbating things like affordable housing. When we have access to resources to quell these things, we're usually putting them in other areas. The most cosmetic example of that was the $27 million. Now, while that was OEV funds and it was for economic vitality, that is just a point that we have to invest these resources in the places that need it the most. The comp plan gives us a formula for how we extend the urban service area. Thank you.
Thank you. Nikki Zumbo, your turn.
Okay, so there is a lack of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments in Tallahassee, meaning if there is a young person who wants to move here, start a family, work a career, they're extremely disenfranchised to having all the things they may need to facilitate that, because there's just not a place to live or an affordable place to live that is a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. I know the county is aware of this. I would really like to work with developers to facilitate more of those apartment communities in and around the city of Tallahassee and Leon County, to give young people an option to start a home here and grow from there.
Thank you, Nikki Zumbo.
Numerous neighborhoods within Tallahassee, Leon County are struggling with poverty. What role should local economic development efforts and development incentives play in promoting more equitable prosperity? And what one specific plan would you implement to make a meaningful progress in this generational challenge? 1 minute, we're starting with Rudy. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the question. And working in my community as the executive director of the Frontline Project, that is our job, to work with those who are homeless, work with those in poverty, work with those families and those youth. The thing that comes to mind is rapid rehousing. I believe that it is not a permanent solution, but it's certainly a temporary solution to get people back on their feet, give them a sense of hope and pride. We can garner funds and set aside initiatives that would help them to immediately get out of the woods, out of the tents, the cardboard boxes, and give them a sense of place, a sense of home, because everyone wants a roof over their heads. And I believe that if we can give them that and the supportive services that goes along with that, and employment, I believe that we can get this. Lastly, I will say that we have a homeless problem, because in a 9-county region, a lot of people come to Tallahassee who are not Tallahassee, and so the other sources in those counties don't provide what we provide, and so they come here looking for that hope. And since they're here, the hospitality of us all should, work towards bringing that thing to bear. So that's my message, and I approve it.
Josh Johnson.
There's 2 issues that orbit poverty. One of those things is education. The other one of those things is jobs, and not just any jobs, livable jobs, jobs that people can actually live and pay their bills on. When we have access to things like $27 million, we have to invest into those communities, because that is our economic vitality, creating jobs in our community, creating an opportunity for people to stay after they graduate college. Education is another big issue. And if we are not making partnerships in the trades, right, or towards colleges, when those colleges are given that money, maybe there should be incentives in there that they partner with the local high schools or community colleges to bring people in. We cannot afford any longer to waste our most valuable resources. However, if we don't see people as our most valuable resources, we will continue to do the exact same things that we've done. Thank you.
Nikki Zumbo.
I would like to offer the local businesses in and around town to subsidize moving costs for new employees. You give somebody a job, but they still have to get ready for work. So making sure that their employees are taken care of when they clock out and before they clock in, and have a place to live along with their income is also crucial. I think that would incentivize a lot of people who are looking for a direction or a path to get back in the job force or recreate a lifestyle that's healthier for them.
Nick Maddox.
So I'm going to use a little bit of my time to mention one thing there, and I didn't mention it last time. Inclusionary housing is something that we need to look at too. It's something that the city of Tallahassee and Leon County are looking at, and what that does is that allows for folks or when developers come in, 10% or more of their homes have to be affordable. But shifting over to the economic development question, I think what we have to do here that we've done in the past, we need a better job of, is working with Career Source to get people certifications. What you have is right now, you got a $15 minimum wage, okay? That's what we're moving up to. But in order to move from that space, you need certifications and things like that. I talked to a young lady who said, I'm making $15 an hour and, I want to do better, but, every job I apply for, I need a certification. And so Career Source has programs that that we can get folks involved in that will pay for that certification and will get people on that next level to be able to earn more money. Because at the end of the day, the poverty comes to your earning power. And so inviting people to get involved in those certification programs would be amazing and help them out a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we have a follow-up to those questions. This is a 45-second response time. Local government is criticized by some citizens as being more responsive to business and the development community than to ordinary citizens. Some candidates have even targeted the Chamber of Commerce as an insiders network that benefits special interests. Is this perception fair? And if so, what should be done about it? We're going to be starting with Josh Johnson.
This is absolutely a fair criticism. There's a difference between local government and local governance. Local government is the apparatus. Local governance are the decisions. I think a lot of the decisions that have been made have caused people or allowed people the perception that chambers and developers have more say than the average person. In this race, I have almost 300 individual donors, right? Those are real people giving real funds. There is campaign donations that are stacked with developer-funded checks, and that does nothing for public trust. And so to critique or ask, is it valid for people to question, I think comes at it from the wrong end. And I think we have to ask the question in a different way. Thank you.
Nikki Zumbo.
I'd like to have the question repeated, please.
Sure. Local government is criticized by some citizens as being more responsive to the business and development community than to ordinary citizens. Some candidates have even targeted the Chamber of Commerce as an insiders network that benefits special interests. Is this perception fair? And if so, what should be done about it?
I believe the perception to be fair. However, I think there is a lot of information that is not granted to the public and to the citizens that would make them think differently of those special interests. I've worked with commercial developers who do the best that they can to make sure that their rental costs are as low as possible, or the property management does that as well. So to say that it's unfair is it inaccurate. I'm not taking any money for my campaign. I've worked with these developers. I have the information that they've granted me and the knowledge and the background. However, I don't think the special interests need to be funded for anything or anybody. The job of an elected official is to represent constituents and vote based on such.
Thank you. Nick Maddox.
Thank you. So I'll approach it from this standpoint. I believe that all of us are working to move the county in the right direction, whether it be, the Chamber of Commerce, the Big Bend Chamber, or even the Capital City Chamber. I've spoke to and partnered with all three of them. And what I believe is they all want the same thing, is for all of us to prosper. And I've also heard from the community on certain issues. Will we always agree on everything? No, we won't. But what I don't do is I don't allow myself to be influenced solely or by one group or the other. I try to listen to what everybody has to say and give it an opportunity to digest and make the decision that's best for the community based off of the information and what's going to help out the community the most. Fair or unfair, what I believe is that we all want the same thing, and that's for us to have a prosperous Leon County.
Thank you. Rudy Ferguson.
Thank you. I believe that it is a fair assessment. I believe that we have several Chamber of Commerce here in Tallahassee. And I believe that not only one can solve the solutions or help all of our businesses in Tallahassee, I'm a pastor, and because I'm a pastor, I'm not a fix-all pastor. I'm not a fix-all church. So you have a variety of different elements that come into play that help all of us who are looking for anything particular. Some businesses need something different, and others need than the others. So I think it's a fair assessment to say that is there some things there, special interest that some chambers look out for certain people and certain businesses more than others? Yes, I would figure that's a fair assessment. So we have to really look at that as a county commissioner. Should county commissioner accept money from certain entities that's looking for favors to be carried in their tenure? So that's something I won't do as a commissioner.
Thank you. All right, we have another follow-up for this. This is 30 seconds in your response time. The term smart growth is used broadly to describe planning for the county's future. What specifically does that mean to you? And is the county in the right position to ensure it has a say in the community's expansion? We're going to begin with Nikki Zumbo.
In order to grow upward, you have to make sure that people have the resources before they start growing. So equipping people with knowledge about how to rent an apartment, how to vote, how to save money on their utility bills, how to live a more sustainable lifestyle. There are things that students are not graduating. There's gifts and tools and things that they need to know before graduating that we're not equipping them with before they graduate.
Nick Maddox.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I think smart growth equals up to sustainable growth, which includes not just the fiscal side of it, but it also includes the environmental side of it. So I think we have to balance our environmental character with the growth out and up that we're talking about that makes the community affordable for all citizens and creates a quality of life that's amazing for all citizens as well. So that's what I believe when I think about smart growth, and I do think we are in a great position to provide it.
Rudy Ferguson.
Thank you. I believe that when we start to build anything in our city or grow, we need to talk to our citizens. They live here, they pay taxes here, they have invested in here. So I think it's very important to listen to our constituents on what they would like to see as we develop the comprehensive plan, as we look at the fiscal policies. How do we ensure that they are satisfied? We won't be able to make everybody happy, but I definitely believe that we can all go together as we grow together. When everybody's looking at this from the same page, I believe that it's important for us to grow because we are growing. Whether we like it or not, we are growing. So we need to look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Josh Johnson.
Environmental, financial, and social growth working hand in hand to efficiently do what needs to be done in terms of growth. That's what smart growth should be. Smart growth is not something that I believe we've seen. And the second part to that question is, has the county put themselves in a position to respond to the citizens effectively? I think it was. And I think that the answer to that is no, because the citizens have time and time again asked for resources not to be dumped into Northeast Gateway projects and Walani. So thank you. The bell got me.
This next answer is a 45-second follow-up. Homelessness is also becoming a more visible problem in Leon County. What is the one thing we can do to help on that front? Again, 45 seconds. Nick Maddox, please begin.
I really think we have to look at our homeless and our mental health problem. A lot of our homeless folks have mental health problems that we really need to dig into. Looking at the state regional facilities or something like that we can do here to get people the help that they need for mental health services. I think the Carney Center is doing a great job, but trying to quell some of it. Rick Carney and the tiny house projects has helped some of it too. But I think there's some people out there who are chronically homeless because they, mental health wise, they need that mental health, those mental health services to help them get over the hump. And so really looking at that, creating those services. The sheriff has created a task force of police officers that focus specifically on homelessness. So I think that helps too, but we got to get the mental health things done.
Thank you. Rudy Ferguson.
I believe that we do have a major crisis and we do have mental health issues among our homeless. Of course, no one wants to be homeless. Everyone wants to have a roof over their head. They want to feel like they're a part of society. So I believe it's incumbent upon us as citizens and even as a county commissioner to ensure that the people that come to our town, we have the necessary support services that they need in order for them to become viable, in order for them to become vibrant and healthy and be a part of it. I think that we look past it too often and we say it's a them problem, not our problem. that gives us a sense of that Tallahassee does not care about the people that come here because they're not paying taxes and they're not considered a part of the growth. I believe the first thing we ought to do is create rapid rehousing. Look at that. Give them a sense of hope and place in this city if they're going to be here. I'm Rudy Ferguson. I approve this message.
Josh Johnson.
At any given time, we have over 800, somewhere around 800 homeless people on our streets. You spend your money on what you care about. I answered my first question by saying that public investments must be an equitable endeavor. As an economist, I understand that investing our cash resources in this problem would help quell crime, would help with mental health things. And so there are disparities that create homelessness, but those disparities can only be solved in one way, and that is where we place our resources. And if this is such a crisis, we have to start spending and acting like it's a crisis.
Nikki Zumbo.
I truly believe that we don't have enough social workers in Tallahassee. Bringing that talent and those skills and that workforce here into Tallahassee would definitely prove beneficial to those who struggle with mental illness and are homeless. However, we also have to remember that these people have struggled for a very long time. Sometimes the things that we've been doing to help them are no longer effective, which is proven time and again. So I believe it's time we find new ways to prevent people from ending up in a situation where they are homeless, and also rehabilitating them to be more productive members of society through incentivized programs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on and talk about Blueprint and economic development. Funds from the penny sales tax program, known as Blueprint, are required to be allocated into different pots of money and used for different purposes. While most of the funds are to be spent for infrastructure, such as roads, sideways, and parks, 12% of the funds are to be spent for economic development projects, having a general public purpose of improving local economies. So, what was your position on the recent allocation of $27 million to renovate Doak Campbell Stadium from the money required to be spent for economic development projects? And please explain your position. We're going to start with Rudy Ferguson.
Thank you so much for the question. Of course, I did not approve of $27 million going to stadium upgrades when we have so many different crises in this community: homelessness, affordable housing, lack of affordable housing, low wages that's not matching the inflation. I think that was a missed priority, a missed opportunity for us to really do something great and to show the citizens of Tallahassee that we can do better. If I was in that seat at that time, I would have definitely made sure that the first and foremost concern would have dealt with the things that are causing our city and our county to go under and not look good. Not everybody goes to, and this is not about a sports arena. It's about the lifestyle that we live here in Tallahassee. So I believe we could have done better, and we should have done better. And I believe the citizens of Tallahassee are disappointed in the decision to give $27 million to a football arena rather than give it to a community that's in desperate need in our vulnerable communities, and to bring this city back up to the place that called it the All-American City at one point. We need to get back to that. So that's my message.
Thank you, Rudy Ferguson. Josh Johnson, same question to you.
It's a matter of public record that before this got out of hand, I was at those meetings telling our commission, please don't do this. As an economist, I can tell you that Blueprint is a sales tax, and sales taxes are regressive. This is the worst investment that we could have made with this money. I was vehemently against it. Here is why. People get caught up on the 27 million, not realizing sometimes that the extra 7 or 6.5 million was a bond. That bond is an innate admission that we couldn't have afforded to give away the $20 million that we gave away. On top of that, to compound blasphemies, there was less than 40 permanent jobs created from the project. It on its face, side, and back was irresponsible. We should not have done that. I would not have done that. And it's a matter of public record.
Thank you, Josh
Thank you.
Johnson. Nikki Zumbo.
I would really like to take a look at where that money ends up going and to fix what. I truly believe that, like any building, there is maintenance and there is infrastructure issues that will need to be addressed at some point in time. And yes, that will cost money. 27 million, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's going to be the total outcome, the total bill. However, I would like them to use that money to create more jobs, hire the people who are learning those trades, and make sure that those employees are taken care of and that that amount goes to every good use it can. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki Zumbo. Nick Maddox, you get 1 minute on this also.
Thank you. I did support it. I supported the 27 million for FSU. I supported the 10 million for FAMU, and I supported the 1 million for TCC. And what I see every single game weekend, a home game weekend, is I see people in the streets spending money in various locations and businesses, and then going into our respective stadiums and patronizing those games and being able to watch a good football game, a good concert, or wherever may have you. What that does is it may just on the space look like it's 34 jobs, but it's $85 million every year that we're getting economic development. And the more people that come in town for those games, the more people who come in town for those concerts, it's going to feed our local economy and our tax and our sales tax as well. So you got people coming in from outside spending in our local businesses, buying gas and spending gas tax money, are giving us gas tax money that we can use on our roads and other services. I don't believe that we can just squarely look at what's generated specifically from FSU and quantify this all. I think we have to look at the benefit that it's going to have for all businesses and all folks.
Thank
and when
you.
we put the money on the back end as we spend it in the neighborhoods. That
Thank
need
you,
the
Nick
most.
Maddox.
Thank you.
We do have a follow-up on this. We're going to stay on this topic a little bit. Josh Johnson, was there a middle ground here, and why couldn't we reach it?
There's a great quote that I'm reminded by. Rumi says, far outside of the places of right doing or wrongdoing, there's a space, and I want to meet you there. I suppose that there could have been a healthy compromise, but that's where the ingenuity and the imagination of people that are set forth to govern us comes in. And there was no viable compromise that would not have put us in a bad situation. It is a regressive sales tax. Luxury stadium improvements cannot take precedent over things like affordable housing, workforce, and small businesses.
Thank you, Josh Johnson. Nikki, 30-second follow-up to you. Was there a middle ground? Why couldn't we find it?
I always think there's an opportunity for a middle ground if given more information and discussion and consideration before these votes happen. So I've been to the stadium, and I'll tell you guys right now, if I went into that bathroom at that stadium again, I wouldn't have my kids go there. It's if anything, a public health crisis. They're not well maintained at the moment because they're so old. They do need repairs. I just don't believe that it could have cost $27 million. We could have saved some money somewhere, probably.
Thank you. Nick Maddox, the same question to you.
You know, what I believe is that maybe that could have been, maybe that could not have been, but what I know is that we'll get the return on that investment, and we'll get more partnership from FSU on the back end of us making that investment. And that's my expectation moving forward. So that's where I am on it.
Okay, and Rudy Ferguson, last word on that. Was there a middle ground, and why couldn't we find it?
Thank you. I believe there was a middle ground. I'm a consensus builder, and I believe that if FAMU got $10 million and the other university got $1 million, TCC got $1 million, I think we could have found some type of consensus building process. I don't think it was more so people mad that Florida State got money. I think it's the amount of money that Florida State got to do the upgrades. I believe that as a commissioner, we have to be able to reach across the aisles to find that common ground that addresses all of our issues in our one city. So I believe there was a ground, but it just was never ventured. It was just never entertained.
Thank you. So one final question on this one. Nick Maddox, you are the chair of Blueprint IA. Do you have any regrets on how this all played out?
No, I don't. I think when I look at it, I think there was a lot of discussion amongst the community. I think there was a lot of discussion amongst us as commissioners. We saw it about 4 or 5 times, actually. I think it was a good amount of times. If anything, the only thing I would have liked to say, I even think that towards the end, we were somewhat civil in the way we dealt with it. And even the community was as well. If anything, I probably would have wanted to see in there us have conversations that didn't get uncivil at times, and us being able to understand each other's side without insults and stuff like that. But all in all, I think everybody did the best they could and made the best decision they could on it and moved the ball forward. So I have no regrets, and I look forward to seeing the greatness that's going to come from it.
Well, for our other candidates, Josh Johnson, first to you. Should he have any regrets?
That's a hard question to put because I can't measure the conscience of another individual. But what I can tell you is that learning things like the IMC, which is the governing body of Blueprint not being under sunshine, I think that's a regret. I think that adjourning meetings early when questions are being brought about things, I think that should be a regret. I think going against the consensus of the citizens in Leon County, which by all liberal and conservative estimations we can say is about 2/3, that should be a regret. And so while I cannot weigh his conscience, I can retroactively say that there should have been some regrets there.
Thank you. Nikki Zumbo, should he have more regrets?
Ethically, I cannot answer that question as to what Josh said. He has got his own mind and he'll have his own regrets in what he does in his career. However, the one regret that I think that should be laid on the table for all of the commissioners and the county in general should be, did we invest our money somewhere that it's not going to produce the product or the return that we intended? We're scared. We want to make sure that money goes to improving the economy. However, we can't see that, as a precursor. We can only have ideas about how that might look. So that's how I picture that.
Thank you. Rudy Ferguson, final word.
Yes, I believe that there should have been some regrets in regards to it because the commissioner said that on the back end that Florida State will look at taking care of our communities and working along with those communities. I think that shouldn't have been to the back end. That should have been to the forefront of the decisions that was made regarding the $27 million that went to his alma mater. I think it's very important to understand that if we look closely at what had happened, I think the commissioners did not really take to heart the citizens, but moreover that the possibility of what their donors and sponsors were pushing more so to have done. And I approve that message right there.
Thank you. All right, we're going to stay with Blueprint for a couple more questions here. In March, the Tallahassee Democrat revealed the text messages to and from commissioners during the Blueprint meeting on Doak Stadium funding included political jockeying and name calling, including a political consultant personally insulting Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Maddox, you wrote a column for the Democrats saying the message was racist on its face and points to a troubling bigger picture in our local politics. Can you elaborate on that troubling picture and what we should be doing about it? Commissioner Maddox.
I think we get further and further apart. We become further and further polarized as a community. I think what we need to really, really understand is that we don't all have the same opinions and we don't all have the same thought processes. And we have to respect each other and where we stand in those thought processes and opinions. I would never insult or think badly of any of the candidates that's a part of this forum or any of their candidates or commissioners that's a part of Leon County or city of Tallahassee because they made a decision or had an opinion that was different than mine because their mind works differently. And so I think there needs to be a resurgence of respect, a respect for my thoughts and your thoughts as an individual and understanding that my background and what I grew up doing and who I am may have formed my thoughts and vice versa on yours. And so when you have that kind of understanding, you have a community that can have political discourse and civil discourse and come together without so much conflict. That's the problem that we can't have that. We can't have those kind of conversations without that kind of conflict. And that is a problem. We should be able to talk.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And for the rest of the candidates, I mean, what do you think of, what is your picture in our local politics? And do we have, I think Commissioner Maddox was referring to almost a civility issue. Rudy Ferguson, you're next.
I believe we ought to be able to agree to disagree. Our difference of opinion in any regards may not line up with what everyone thinks, but there should never at no time be a disregard of respect. And this was a blatant disrespectful thing to say to Nick, the current commissioner, Nick Maddox, to call him the DLB. And I won't say it for the sake of the television, but to call someone of that nature. And I took it very personal because I, as a black man, to have someone call me that, then that just disregards anything that I could do further for them, because that will always be at the forefront of my mind how that individual felt. Now, as far as the other commissioners, they should have never entertained such conversations. They should be at the forefront of integrity, honesty, and accountability at all times. Text messaging, doing a very important decision, their phones, like you told us, put our phones up, their phones should have been up as well.
Josh Johnson.
Absolutely. I concur with some of the sentiment. I disagree with others. So name calling and disrespect has no place in any arena, especially not an arena where there is public dialogue and public interest that is being delegated. However, I think it's lost that the reason that we know about these text messages is because of transparency. And so while I think that these conversations were horrible, there were very specific commissioners that were transparent and at least let us know what was being said, and there was others that didn't. And so transparency is just as important as any of this stuff, because if we don't know what's happening, we don't know the overall sentiments. At least that filth was exposed, and it was horrible. I wouldn't have ever said anything like that. But there was a lack of transparency that didn't let us see a lot of those text messages from a lot of our governing officials.
Nikki Zumbo.
I have the utmost respect for the gentlemen here today that have been serving their communities for many years and doing things under the radar that we may not be aware of, but know that they're impactful in our communities as a whole. So I think we just need to remember that we represent people, and by attacking or judging or defaming one's character is hurtful to the community that supports that person or may have different opinions than another's. So just making sure that we're respectful to everyone's reasons for being here and why we do what we do. Thank you.
Building on this theme of ethical behavior, please discuss whether you feel current ethics codes for Leon County government and for Blueprint Intergovernmental Agency are adequate. Would you support independent ethics oversight of either or both? You have 1 minute. Rudy Ferguson, we'll start with you.
I believe accountability is first and foremost, transparency, integrity in decisions that were made. And I believe that I will support all efforts to ensure that accountability, integrity, and honesty is at the forefront of all our decisions that needs to be made. Listen, the people that pay their taxes, live in this county, they're depending on us as commissioners and leaders to ensure that their tax dollars are going to the right place, and that lobbyists or any other hands that's on the table should be removed. We elected the county commissioners and city commissioners to represent us, not lobbyists and not other folks who are trying to get paid out of the deal. I think that's so important. So again, I would say accountability, integrity, and honesty and transparency. That will bring, of course, some type of oversight to make sure that everything stays in place.
Thank you, Rudy Ferguson. Josh Johnson, are the current ethics codes adequate? And would you support independent ethics oversight of Blueprint and Leon County?
I'm from a 7-generation Leon County family. My family's been paying taxes in this community for over 100 years. When the people that voted on that sales tax voted on it, first of all, I don't think that they thought that it would descend into what it's descended into. And even if so, they didn't think that that would occur without adequate oversight. I do not think that the oversight is robust enough. I think that the lobbying jurisdictions on it should be discussed. I think the IMC should absolutely be a part of Sunshine. If the governing body of Blueprint is not under Sunshine, and Sunshine is obviously making everything a matter of public record and open to the public, if these things have a reason to be private, what could those justifications be? If there are justifications for it, then you had better make it clear to the people, because as one of the people, I cannot think of any justification for not having the governing board of my tax dollars that go to projects that I don't have a say in outside of voting for local government officials. I think that that's not right.
Thank you, Josh Johnson. Nikki Zumbo, same question to you.
I'm not going to lie, he's got a point. If we can't have a say into how we're moving things along in legislation, who is to say? Who is to say? So I do support extra protections there. However, I want them to be a positive influence in the endeavor rather than a negative one, almost like an opening of a door to a world unseen, rather than you did this and you did that, and so we can grow, because that would facilitate growth there.
Thank you. Nick Maddox, round us off on this one. Are the current ethics codes adequate, and would you support independent ethics oversight of the county and Blueprint?
So I do support independent ethics oversight, but we already have it. For the county, we report to the state. We're a subdivision of the state, so the state ethics office is who we report to. So we have it at the county level, and we have to report every single year. And so from that standpoint, yes. The other part of the question, I'm willing to have the conversation. I mean, if we want to talk about more oversight, I'm all for it. And transparency is important, and making sure that that the community know that they have ethical elected officials and that we're performing ourselves in an ethical way is an important conversation. But as far as the county is concerned, we are governed by the statewide ethics commission. So I believe we have that independent oversight there.
Thank you. Rudy, back to you with a follow-up. So obviously you all do not sit on the city commission, but you work hand in hand with commissioners on matters of growth and administering the blueprint sales tax dollars. So last week we saw another former city commissioner indicted. What immediately went through your mind when you heard the news? And should the county be doing anything in response? 45 seconds.
I was disheartened, brokenhearted, because I saw him to be a great mayor in my eyes, and he was an inspiration to our young people in our community. It's disheartening, so I am praying for him and his family in this regards. I believe the second part of that question, again, I make sure I capture it.
Should the county be doing anything in response? County.
The county, well, I don't think there's a county role in regards to this, just to make sure that we keep all of our responsibility, the county responsibilities, and the things that we're overseeing in place, and keep integrity and accountability at the forefront of our decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Josh Johnson, same to you.
Absolutely. Again, it's a matter of public record. The day I found out about it, I went to my social media to let the people that are following me know that I was so disheartened by how public trust is being battered and bruised. The second part of that question is, does the county play a role? Absolutely, the county plays a role. Not only just from decency, but there's a lot of intergovernmental boards that the county and the city share. There's cross-pollination in dollars. There's cross-pollination in decision-making. And what is good for the goose may be bad for the gander. I put a little twist on that because while there has been no visible corruption on the county, we cannot say that county commissioners don't have a part to play in correcting it.
Thank you. Nikki Zumbo.
I don't deal with problems. I deal with solutions. And I believe there needs to be a solution for that problem specifically, so that this isn't a continuous issue in our local governments. So to what Josh said, there should definitely be some involvement as to how much, enough so that it doesn't happen again. I'll put that there. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki Zumbo. Nick Maddox, what immediately went through your mind when you heard the indictment news, and should the county be doing anything in response?
The first thing that went through my mind was the families affected. My prayers go out to the Gillum family and the Lehman Hicks family for whatever effects this may have on them. Secondly, I think it went to, we got to continue to work on building the public trust. I think the way we do that is by trying to continue to be as transparent as we can. This is an issue that we have been working on for years, that we're going to continue to work on. But I think when I first heard about it, when I first saw it, my thought went to the families and the empathy that I have for what they could be going through, what they will be going through over the next few months, and my prayers go out to them.
Thank you, Nick Maddox.
All right, we're going to change up the pace a little bit and move on to our lightning round. The way that works is I'm looking for a one-sentence answer. Most of these questions will be kind of a yes or no, and then I'm interested in kind of a sentence explaining that. That sentence can, of course, have an and or a because, but I think we have a teacher up here, and we know that run-on sentences are no good. So try to keep it limited to maybe one and one because. Here we go. We begin with, how many county commission meetings have you attended and how many have you spoken at? We'll start with Nick Maddox.
All of them.
All right. Rudy Ferguson.
In my time, well, I've attended more than I can count the city. I've spoken on various issues to the city commissioners dating back to Mayor John Marks. And also county commission, I've spoke several times before them, so yes.
All right. Josh Johnson.
Enough to be effective, not enough to have bird-dogged the process. Happy medium.
And on what topics?
One of them, the 27 million, the most visible topic of the current day.
Nikki Zumbo, same question.
I've not attended in person, though I've found quite the enjoyment watching them online and learning about the processes. And I'd encourage other people who are voting in this election to do the same.
Thank you. What does the word progress for Leon County mean to you? And we start with Rudy Ferguson.
Progress means to me is that the entire county, everyone, no one is left behind. Everyone is going forward together. Our parks, our facilities, our homes, and just overall life, quality of life is improved. That is progress to me, that one side of town is not bigger than the other or greater than the other. We all live together under one roof, which is Leon County. Thank you.
What does the word progress mean to you, Josh Johnson?
No run-on sentences, just a comma. Making our tomorrows better than our today, and there's ways we can do it.
Thank you. Nikki Zumbo.
For Tallahassee to be a place that is open to all and inclusive to all communities, ones that are here now, ones that have been here for a long time, and those that want to return or make a new home here.
Thank you. Big Maddox.
Prosperity and inclusivity for all. Bringing a community together that has been divided is what progress looks like to me.
Thank you. What should be done about the Lake Hall Schoolhouse? Josh Johnson.
Spend your money where your priorities are. It should be safe.
Nikki Zumbo.
I would absolutely love to see that place become a historic museum and grant revenue for the county and visitors so that we can learn about our origins. Thank you.
Nick Maddox.
Do everything we can to save it. Pull the city, county, and the state in as partnership and do what we can to save it.
Rudy Ferguson.
It's our history. I think everything should be done in order to preserve that history. So I think we ought to save it. Yes.
Thank you. Nikki Zumbo, name one specific community in Tallahassee that needs immediate attention and what you would do to address that.
Definitely the young professionals that have been here for a few years. Finding housing that they can afford and resources that convince them that Tallahassee is the best place to live in Florida.
Nick Maddox.
Are you talking geographically or are you just talking about in general?
I will leave it to your discretion on the definition of community.
I'm going to go with our young people. Our young people need us right now. They need us in a way that they've never needed us before, and we need to target them and try to pull them along and give them a better view on life.
Thank you. Rudy Ferguson.
I think spend most of we prioritize so that we can work with the 32304 area code to bring that up. That's a vulnerable community, a disenfranchised community. And I think we ought to spend some time there to ensure that those residents feel they're part of our process.
Thank you. Josh Johnson.
That question answers itself. 32304 is the poorest zip code in the state of Florida.
Nick Maddox, what's one pledge you would make to voters right now that you will accomplish if reelected?
Just one?
Just one. It's the one pledge you have to. You would make the voters right now that you will accomplish if elected.
We will deal with our crime issue in partnership with Leon County Sheriff's Office, City of Tallahassee, and the TPD. We absolutely will.
Thank you. Rudy Ferguson.
One thing that I will accomplish is making sure that Tallahassee, Leon County is safe, healthy, and is vibrant. And that's for the entire county, all of it.
Thank you. Josh Johnson.
The one thing I'll promise is that it won't take me 12 years to do everything that I told you that I would do on the campaign trail.
Nikki Zumbo.
I'd like to see more efforts and funds put in to child care opportunities for women and families that are working. Thank you.
Rudy Ferguson, as a county commissioner, you'll be working with your counterparts in the city commission. Toward that end, who would you endorse for mayor of Tallahassee and why?
While I know all of the candidates, because I'm running my own race and this one is a big one, I do pray for whoever gets it, but I'm not endorsing anyone for this particular race. Thank you.
Josh Johnson.
I think I don't know if it's a fair question.
Okay. Nikki Zumbo.
I support all women on the ballot here in Florida. Thank you.
Nick Maddox.
William Hatfield. What a question. I got my own campaign to run, my man.
Had to try. Josh Johnson, are there
Yes,
any
sir.
limits on who you will accept campaign contributions from?
Absolutely. I have more individual donors than everybody in this race combined, plus another 114 to spare. And all of them are people or businesses that I have gone to, and there's only 2 businesses on there. So absolutely, I will not accept developer money.
Okay. Nikki Zumbo.
As mentioned before, my campaign will not be receiving any contributions or donations. Believe that that money could be better spent in the family situation and local businesses.
Thank you. Nick Maddox.
Thank you. I will take money from anyone who's willing to support, not allow it to influence any decision that I make moving forward as a county commissioner.
Rudy Ferguson.
I have not accepted any funds from developers or special interest groups. This is a grassroots campaign, and I mean to do just that to ensure that I represent the interests of the people who live in this county.
Nikki Zumbo, aside from family, who do you view as your local mentor in life and in pursuing this seat? Note that aside from family, Nikki Zumbo.
It's the women in this community that have taught me things that I wouldn't have learned in an educational setting. How to be a businesswoman, how to be administrative, how to facilitate growth in my community. So I give that to all the women who have helped me succeed thus far. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick Maddox.
Lots of mentors out there, but I'm gonna have to give this one to God. For me, my influence, my motivation, my leader, my protector, my thoughts, God.
Rudy Ferguson.
I will certainly have to go with my younger beginnings at the Tallahassee Urban League. I have so many community fathers and mothers, but my time in my younger years started at the Urban League, and I credit them for who I am today. Thank you.
Josh Johnson.
The young men and women that I see on a daily basis, my students, and the children of people in this community are my biggest inspiration.
Thank you. Nick Maddox, name one specific thing the county is not spending enough money on and one thing the county is spending too much money on.
I won't say we're spending too much money, but I will tell you that 47% of our budget goes to law enforcement. It's not too much. I think the sheriff does an adequate job. What I think we could spend more money on right now, of course, as much money as we can push out for affordable housing programs would be the best that we could actually do right now. So pushing more money out in that way would be great.
Thank you. And Rudy Ferguson, you're up next.
I don't think we're spending enough money on our youth services to support our nonprofit organizations who are boots on the ground. I think we ought to reinvest our priorities to help those organizations working in our most vulnerable communities. I think we're spending too much money on the Florida State Stadium.
Thank you. Josh Johnson.
I don't think we're spending enough money on things that are going to put us, to make us independent of energy excuse me, I don't know how I got twisted. We should be spending more money on things that will help our environment, like renewable energy, and we're spending too much money on development-heavy projects like the stadium and the Northeast Gateway and the expansion of an urban service area.
Thank you, Nikki Zumbo.
I think we're spending too much money in the wrong kind of housing. I would like to see more 1 and 2 bedroom apartments built and kept at a very affordable cost for constituents.
Thank you. County Commission job is considered a full-time job. If elected, will you continue employment elsewhere in either a full-time or part-time capacity? And we start with Rudy Ferguson.
Right. As a full-time, I'm a full-time pastor, which means I'm a full-time community engager, community change agent. If I'm elected, that will be my full-time job as well, and I'll definitely be in the courthouse. I'll be boots on the ground. And so, yes, I think the amount of money that county commissioners make, that's a full-time job.
All right. Josh Johnson.
If elected, I would not leave my students in the middle of a school year. There's no doubt that I would stay in my classroom.
Nikki Zumbo.
I would fully assume the responsibilities of a commissioner and immerse myself in that career field. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Maddox.
Yes, sir. I will, if given an opportunity, seek other professional employment as well as commission.
Thank you. Josh Johnson, what is the single biggest thing you've done in the community to make the county a better place to live? And that is the single biggest? Josh Johnson, starting with you.
I have 3 seconds to think about that because I've done a lot. I would think being a consensus builder and very vocal on issues has been the biggest thing. There's too many to count. You know, as the president of 621 Gallery and as a teacher and as a small business owner, I just can't prioritize or catalog, but I will say that all of my work goes into the aim of facilitating growth in this county.
Thank you. Nikki Zumbo.
In property management, I spent a lot of my time moving in residents of Tallahassee to new opportunities and new homes, as well as those that don't live here. So my biggest accomplishment here in Leon County is being a resource, as well as a reason to come to Tallahassee and profit and lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Maddox.
Thank you. Personally, I believe that it's working with the Housing Authority and Leon County and Purpose Built to look at ways we could redevelop our subsidized housing. So Orange Avenue has had some issues here lately, but I think it's going to benefit that community, and those folks who get to come back immensely. It's going to change the nature and the lives of those who will be able to live in those apartments.
Rudy Ferguson.
I would certainly say that out of many things that I've done working in my community, I would say the biggest thing that really makes me proud is the John G. Riley Park. That was a passive park in the beginning. It was donated to the city. I went before the city commission to ask them to turn that into a park where people can actually use it. Now we have a stage, we have power, we have picnic benches, barbecue pits, you name it. And in order to do that, I thought it'd be so important to lift up that park that would lift up that community and lift up the property value in that community. Thank you.
All right, you made it through the lightning round, so now we're going back to a little bit of a longer form. I'll start here. Earlier this year, the Democrat reported that Commissioner Maddox abruptly left his job at the Boys and Girls Club amid sexual harassment allegations by an employee who is Rudy Ferguson's close relative. Commissioner, you declined to discuss the allegations, but in a statement you said, quote, "I will not engage in this kind of politics or personal attacks." Rudy Ferguson said he did not know details of the complaint and only found out about it shortly after announcing his run for the seat. Josh Johnson, meanwhile, put out a statement calling the accusations troubling. Considering the three of you are already on the record in this matter, is this a matter that is going to be an issue for voters in this campaign? And we will start with you, Commissioner Maddox.
Thank you. I hope that the voters can focus on the issues, the big issues that we have in Leon County, and not that. And that's what I plan to do with this race: is focus on the issues and not what happened there. So, that's my aim, because I think we have a lot of issues in our community that we need to focus on. And I hope the person who wins this race or who moves forward as county commissioner, it does so because they have a plan moving forward that focuses on the issues and not that stuff.
Rudy Ferguson.
I will certainly say that this is a private and very tough moment, but I will certainly say this for the record: Rudy Ferguson, as county commissioner, as an integrity and my accountability, did not push forth the story that was presented. My heart goes out to my relative, and my love for her and my concern for her is first and foremost, and that would not cloud my judgment as a professional statesman for this county.
Josh Johnson.
As I said, I'm a high school teacher, not a high school student, so I try to stay out of the rumor mill. But I do know that the allegations are troubling. I do think that maybe they will sway things. I think maybe there's more of a lack of explanation that people are concerned with. But I really would like to stay out of the rumor mill because that is just such a salacious and hideous story that I would rather not touch it.
Nikki Zumbo.
I believe that the constituents and voters are influenced. That's it.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. So the county administrator serves at the pleasure of the county commission. Vince Long has been serving as the county administrator since 2011. What letter grade would you give to Vince Long this year and why? What's he done well and what could he do better? 1 minute, and we'll start with you, Josh Johnson.
Well, he has a hard job. He's facilitating the obligations, the duties, and the interest of the county with its local government officials and the people and the staff. I do think that some things are not quite clear, which is the problem. And so if those obfuscations or, things could be cleared up, then maybe I could give an accurate grade, but there's just too much that I don't know. There's still too many questions that I have. And so my question is the question that you proposed. What should his grade be? How has he affected the decisions of the interlocal government agencies? How has he affected the decisions of staff? How has he affected the decisions of the county commission? And I think these things have been so convoluted that my question is the very question posed. And so I can't grade him because I don't know.
Thank you, Josh Johnson. Nikki Zumbo, same question to you. 1 minute.
I've heard he's gotten a B- across the board. However, I look forward to working with him and figuring out how we can turn that B- into an A. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki Zumbo. Nick Maddox.
Thank you. I think Vince Long has done a terrific job, and I'll give him an A. He has led our county. Our county has done amazing things under his leadership, and I look forward to continue to work with him.
And what has he done well, and what could he do better? You still have time.
He's done. I mean, there's not anything that he's done. He's not done well. He's led us. He's advised us. He's actually implemented the plans that we plans and policies that we gave him to implement. The county brings us budgets that works for us every single year. If you look at this year alone, we're using basically little to no fund balance, but we're also getting ready for a recession that's coming up, and that's called staff has the foresight led by Vince Long. So I think he's doing a terrific job, and I look forward to continuing to work with him.
Thank you, Nick Maddox. Rudy, round us out here.
Thank you. I believe that Mr. Long has done a wonderful job. I've had the privilege of talking to him, and I've actually had the privilege of seeing him operate there in the chamber along with the other commissioners. Listen, it's not an easy job to take when the commissioners give you directions and give the staff direction. He has to take that information and make it applicable in certain departments and bring something back tangible that the commissioners can turn into a policy. So I would have to say for the time that I've known him and the time that I've seen him, I'll give him an A.
Thank you, Rudy Johnson.
Ferguson.
What is your position on the recent Supreme Court ruling regarding abortion, and does the county have a place in the abortion discussion? We're going to start with Nikki.
Yeah, more now than ever, we're going to see women relying on local businesses and centers for women to receive the health care that they need. I want to embolden those communities to make partnerships and to facilitate programs for at-risk women and pregnancies so that they can have the care that they absolutely need and require to have a good quality of life. I also want to shed light on a topic here that is not spoken about enough. And abortion is a very sensitive topic for a woman. These decisions aren't usually made lightly, I would assume. And I want women to know that they have a safe place to have these discussions and to gain knowledge of all of their options. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Maddox.
Thank you. I think the county needs to provide as much support for those women as we possibly can. All women, actually. So if I can think about, what we need to do is just provide support that we can. I believe a woman's right to choose is her right. And so, but at the same time, I think right now what we can do as a county is provide support in any and every way that we can to help women that may be going through hard situations.
Rudy Ferguson.
Given that where we've come from and women have come from and they have triumphed through a whole lot of situations, I think the last thing that we should ever think about doing is legislating a woman's body. We all are here and born today and came from a woman. And I think it's important to understand that their body is their body, and no man, nobody else has the authority to tell a woman how to use her body and how to take care of herself.
Josh Johnson.
I absolutely believe in a woman's right to choose. Again, leadership is being on the forefront of these issues, and it is a matter of public record, not only through my social media, but through my actions the very day I heard about it. The very day, at a gathering of women and local organizations and men at our very Florida Capitol, I gave very public statements that say we cannot legislate a woman's body, and every woman should have her right to choose. What the county can do about it now is let the women or the people affected by it in our county know that they have our support. We should wait and see how this thing happens, and then we should attack in every way that is available to us to make sure that women in Leon County know that we're on their side.
Thank you.
Y'all made it. We have covered a ton of territory. That means it is closing arguments time. This is your chance to speak directly to voters. You've got 90 seconds. Why should voters vote for you? We are going to start with you, Rudy Ferguson.
I'm Rudy Ferguson, and I've been running for Leon County for Tallahassee since my younger years at the Tallahassee Urban League. One of my biggest things that gave me the insight to want to be a servant is a servant heart. I had the privilege of working for Governor Lawton, our late Governor Lawton Childs, at the age of 23, and I served him for 7 years. They gave me the insight that I really had the heart for people. And I've been working in our communities in the Griffin Heights neighborhood on various organizations and various incentives and programs. So my motto is simple: run with Rudy, because Rudy has been running for our youth and running for our community. And I believe that the interests of the people should be first and foremost. So on August 23rd, vote Rudy Ferguson to be your next Leon County Commissioner at Large, serving the people's interests.
Thank you. Josh Johnson.
As a member of a seventh generation family, as a small business owner, as an educator, as the steward and president of one of Tallahassee's proudest institutions in the 621 Gallery, my service speaks for itself. Let my closing statement be a thanks to the almost 300 individual donors, the countless endorsements, the people that have allowed us to lead in fundraising for the last 3 months. I thank you for your support, because I promise you that what Josh Johnson is saying on the campaign trail is what Josh Johnson will do from the seat. You have given me your trust. You have given me your all. One thing left. On August 23rd, give me your vote, and I can promise you, you will not regret it. Thank you.
Nikki Zumbo.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for researching and investing your time in these candidates here. It is so important to vote. Make sure that you bring a friend, get your family members involved. Throw a voting party, if you will. Just make sure that you're making educated decisions that day that align with your values. I've worked in this community for many years. I knew at 18 years old that I wanted to represent people, and I have done everything in my power and career to be the best representation of people in this county that I can be. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Commissioner Dick Maddox, you have the last word.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for holding this forum. This has been amazing. I'm going to start by saying my campaign slogan, Together We Can. In an environment where inflation is going crazy and gas prices are through the roof, together we can. In an environment where affordable housing is an issue, together we can. In an environment where crime is an issue, together we can. But the thing is together. I come from a team background. I want to continue to use my time to bring our community, the team of our community, together. I've been known for doing that consensus building. I will continue to do that. I have a lot more to offer this county. I have the experience that's needed to pull us through some of the crime issues, as well as some of the inflationary and affordable housing issues that we have. And I look forward to continuing to work with our city commission, our county commission, our county administrator, city administrator, TPD in the community, and even these candidates that are up here today, to try to make sure that Leon County and the city of Tallahassee move forward in a way that promotes prosperity for every single person in Leon County, not just a few. And the way we do that, I'll say it one more time, is we have to do it together, because I believe that together we can.
Thank you, candidates, for joining us today. And thank you to the Tallahassee Democrat, the League of Women Voters of Tallahassee, and WFSU Public Media for participating in this program. You can find a replay of this forum on our YouTube pages, tallahassee.com and WFSU.org. Plus, the recorded broadcast will be this Tuesday, July 5th at 11 a.m. on WFSU 88.9 FM.
Our next forum will be Wednesday, July 6th at 1 p.m., and it will be with the 4 candidates for Tallahassee City Commission Seat 4. This is the mayoral seat. The candidates are John Daly, Kristen Dozier, Michael Ibrahim, and Whitfield Leland III.
And you can look for our special election section of the Tallahassee Democrat with interviews with all candidates on the ballot, which will be printed and inserted on Sunday, August 7th. You'll be hearing from us very shortly on that. For all those who attended today, thank you so much. And know that you can submit questions for the coming forums. Email us at news@tallahassee.com. We have been using those questions and they are very helpful. So thank you for attending. Thank you, candidates, for attending. Have an excellent day.